All right, so good evening, everybody. So today we're going to start the book 2 of the the systematic study. I'll be guiding lessons 1 and 2, and the lesson number 1 is self-knowledge, sincerity. So when we talk about self-knowledge, it always comes to mind that old saying, "Know thyself." I think everybody have heard of that one at one point or another. It's a very famous saying, and it's a very important saying because it encompasses everything that we have to do to have that self-knowledge. Sorry? He just went to work. Okay. So, know thyself. It is so important that it was inscribed in golden letters in the temple of Apollo at Delphi on Greece. So it's a very important saying, and it was recognized as such since the beginning. So the origin is attributed to at least 6 sages, between them Socrates and Pythagoras. So yeah, there was not 1 or 2, but six of the philosophers that came up with this idea, or they had these similar ideas, that know thyself is a very important part of our growth. So St. Augustine on the Spirits book asks, what is the most effective means for improving ourselves in this life and for resisting the draw of evil? And he answered, like the sage of antiquity has told you, know thyself. So Socrates states that there is only one path for growth, which is knowledge, and one path for mistakes, that's ignorance. The lack of knowledge of self is a form of ignorance. To overcome this, we need to gather knowledge, either by putting ourselves on a meditative state to find our bearings, or books, or what we're doing today, like studying with friends and getting more knowledge. And he complemented Kardec complemented the question with, we comprehend all the wisdom of that maxim, but the difficult is precisely knowing ourselves. By what means can we do so? So St. Augustine explained that he himself used to do that when he was in the world of the living, where before he was going to sleep, he would examine his consciousness and ask if the actions he took during the day were constructive or destructive, or would impair someone from doing good. Because sometimes you do something that at times you think it was the right decision, it was the correct approach, but because we were in the heat of the moment, we can sometimes have this misguided notion that yes, I did good, but when you stop to think about it later on, when our heads are a bit cooler, we can be better judges of ourselves to see if yes, we did a good deed or not. So Kardec says, if we interrogate our conscious more frequently, we would see how often we fail without noticing it, by not having scrutinized the nature and motive of our deeds. So we have to ask ourselves constantly, what did I do was good, was correct? How could I have done that differently? Should I have done that differently to maybe have different outcomes, if that wasn't the best outcome that we were looking for? So we can always gauge how much ignorance or knowledge that we have based on those questions, and we can see where we can improve. Sometimes we need to go back and say, I'm sorry, forgive me, because at the heat of the moment, I thought that was the correct way forward. And after thinking about it, I noticed that I made a mistake, or that wasn't the best approach to do that. And sometimes you just need a change of tone, or approach the action or the matter in a different manner. So how can we know ourselves a little bit better? So sincerity, one of Benjamin Franklin's 13 virtues, can help us in the process of self-knowledge. So if we analyze ourselves and lie to our own consciousness, it is an effort thrown away. We cannot do this analyzing that St. Augustine told us about and just say, oh yeah, I did everything good. Everything was in the best interest of everybody. Just because that would make us feel good. We have to really make an effort to see that in the true light. So we need to be honest with ourselves and say that even though we tried, it wasn't the right thing to do, and that we need to keep trying, keep training. If we review something and lie to ourselves that it was the right thing to do, we don't learn from it. We'll never change. So we have to acknowledge that error that we made, or that that incorrect path that we took, for us to really understand that, yes, we did that wrong, or I did that wrong, and what can I do better? Because if we just say, oh yes, that was good, and we just forget it, so we will never learn from our mistakes. Anyone wants to say anything?
I think it's kind of a simple way to put it, realize your mistake and think how you can overcome that. But I think even though it's a simple statement, that's when it lies for us to take our ego out of that and really recognize that we did something wrong. It starts with wives. We are never wrong. We are always right. But jokes aside, I think that's what it's sometimes, because it's kind of a simple recipe, but the problem is really recognize when we, because then involves all that thing of the ego, recognize the shame that you can, bring to yourself, and understand the whole thing about being loved and forgiveness and all of that. But sometimes it's really hard to recognize. I think sometimes it's not even hard to recognize we made a mistake, but it's just to ourselves. But it's hard to recognize in front of people that we love and people that we are afraid to disappoint, or recognize we made a mistake and take a different path. That's
Thanks, Sai. Yes, Glenn?
I sense for each of us, it is a challenge, because those around us don't want to speak from a deeper sense of connection. We are always consumed by being social and socially acceptable, so that we don't make waves in our communication. So we don't have those people around us that will speak in truth. So difficult it is to say to someone, you need to breathe, because your energy is really affecting others. To do so is to almost, as you say, Di, we are so focused on our ego and maintaining a social standing, that no one wants to make waves. So in compassion, we are committed, I sense, to each other, to nurture relationships that are deeper than just superficial. And this is a challenge for our society. Is so fast. We go through friends so quickly, and we are committed to maintaining a status quo, or a sense of, what is it? Yes, a sense of peace without making waves. But in so doing, we lack opportunity, therefore, for sitting in our truth and conveying to others and allowing others to convey to us without ruffling feathers, to be accepting of not criticism, but constructive assistance. Yes, it is totally different to, say, the village concept. When we were once a part of a village, we were conditioned to helping each other, because the village survives and thrives when we are helping each other. But yes, as you know, this day and age, we are almost stunted in our growth. And growth, I don't mean anything but our soul's expansion, because no one wants to sit in truth. Yes, it is a dilemma.
Yeah, thanks, Colin. Luis?
Yes, basically, like, I was kind of wondering along the lines of what Colleen has just said. The idea of like sitting at the end of the day and self-reflecting on like the things you did wrong, that's like kind of like one of the practices that's outlined to do in Course in Miracles as well. And I know some of the other saints have advised that you are supposed to do that as well. Is that with the idea of like analyzing and letting go so that you can get like forgiveness for your failings? Or is it more the idea of like you keep that self-criticism going so it stays in your mind until you like fix it?
I don't think it is keeping the criticism with you. I think it is both. So it's just for you to analyze, and yes, you forgive yourself for whatever happened, but you also learn from what happened. Because as I said before, that it doesn't. If you just say, "Oh yeah, I did all right," and you're just gonna forget about it, even though you didn't do it. But if you go back and say, "Oh yeah, I could have done better," or like even I offended someone, and so you can, even on the next day, you ask forgiveness for that person, and you can forgive yourself. But then you think about it, and then you can learn from that experience. So I think it's a bit of both, all those worlds. So you get the best of the both worlds. Yes, Colleen?
It is, I sense, Louise, that is a great question. It is in getting to that point, not in self-criticism, but in self-awareness. And in getting to that point where you release your ego and say, wow, this is something I really need to work on, then it is a place where we sit in gratitude. And so that night where you recognize that there has been areas where we could have said something better or not said anything at all, this is a point of recognition. And so in gratitude, I do sense that we are celebrating this moment where we recognize that we have a deeper sense of understanding of who we are. So yes, the Course in Miracles looks at this and says that we are progressing when we get to that point where we see our mistakes. And it is then, yes, incumbent upon us to then sit in gratitude, to sit in love, and release the ego, and to take steps for not mending, but healing. It is different to mend. Mend is almost superficial, but healing is on a deeper level. And in healing, Yes, yes. We resonate deeper with the other person because we have assessed our impact on others. Yes. Yes, sorry. Yes.
Thanks, Colleen. All right. So the maxim know thyself looks good on paper, but those who have tried know that one of the greatest hurdles is being able to see oneself objectively and sincerely. So we have to be honest with ourselves. So we have to look back and really be honest and say, yes, that was good, that was bad, that I could have done that better. So we all have built-in biases about who and what we are. And these biases can color our self-images. It is very difficult to see ourselves as others see us. So we have our righteous selves, and sometimes we can't see past that, like other people see us. So that's sometimes that a step that we have to take and to see how other people see us as well. So we often cannot be objective about our emotional selves because we have built up defenses that hinder accurate self-evaluations. So it's hard to tell ourselves, I was wrong. That was not the right thing to do. I shouldn't have done that. So that sometimes it's a very hard thing to do. And at the end of the day, is exactly what we have to do. It's acknowledge our weaknesses and strengths. So our insights about ourselves usually contain a number of convenient blind spots. So we can shield ourselves against our own judgment. The self-actualized individual who can speak freely and honestly of her or his own faults, it's very rare. It is a lifelong journey where total trust is needed. So you have to be open and to accept your own judgment and to trust that you have your own best interest in mind, which is sometimes a little daunting because I see that sometimes I get myself doing that. I try to sabotage myself to say, oh yes, you were better than you were, or even you were worse than you were. And yeah, sometimes we just have to breathe in, breathe out, get a clear mind, and really analyze ourselves truly who we are. So it is advantageous to discover what ticks in our mind. But how can we do this? So we have to be objective observers of our own behavior. So do not use passion. We have to be very objective and try to analyze ourselves without those passions and I'll say the ego that we have. So try to see ourselves from the outside, like other people's sometimes, or most of the time, they cannot see our intentions, they can only see our actions. So if you do something, but your intention was other, sometimes that person can feel hurt or can misunderstand what our intentions were. So we have to try to demonstrate that was our intentions through our actions. And get a knowledge. That's the important thing. So read, listen, change ideas with other people to see what they think about it. Not about yourself, but how can you progress, or how can you gather more knowledge to be a better observer of your own selves. So the aspects of self-knowledge, they divide this in self-enhancement and self-verification. So self-enhancement is focus on positive traits. So you focus solely on positive actions or traits that you perform during the day or that you have. And self-verification, it's the accurate information, whether it's positive or negative. So you really go to the root cause, whether it is a good thing or it was a mistake that you did. So we tend to self-enhance most of the time because it's easier to say, yeah, that was all right, I did the right thing, instead of saying, yeah, that wasn't the right path or the right thing to do. So we really have to focus on that self-verification and make sure that we are really analyzing ourselves without the passion behind it. So in order for us to start processing the changes we need to see in our lives, it's essential that we find ways to increase the amounts of self-knowledge we have, or at least try to understand them, as sometimes. Sorry. So if we look inside, we can see our inner world of thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and as we see them, we understand them. Or at least we try to understand them, because sometimes it's just a storm of thoughts. So it's like that jumbo ideas, amount of ideas. So you have to pick and choose, not choose, you have to pick them apart and make sure that you analyze them all correctly. And we can start to recognize what leads us to feel sad, happy, etc., and use these to program our inner transformation. So if we analyze our own thoughts and our actions, we can start to see, oh, every time that this happens, I feel sad, or I feel angry or happy. So we can try to start to mold our actions or our way of thinking or way of talking, the way we approach people, as to trigger those good emotions and to try to mitigate the amount of bad emotions or the emotions that don't make us feel bad, don't make us feel good, to get that less and less. Any comments? So we have to use this information to change our actions, to change our lives, and to change the way we interact with other people. We can embark on the incredible journey of self-transformation as soon as we can get this process going. We can see the transformation starting from inside out. But we need to remove concepts rooted within ourselves that put us down, like I'll never get better, I'll never be happy, or I'll never get what I want. We have to work on improve. We have to work on and improve. If you say that you'll never be happy, well, the universe will help you never be happy. So you have to tell and work on what you really want to achieve. So always have to put the good thought or your aim on your thoughts, on your actions, on your search for knowledge, because that's what your spirit will pursue. So if you keep on telling yourself, I'm not good enough, so yeah, your spirit will start to help you to be not good enough. You have to put yourself always, I want to be better, I want to be good, I want to get that, to get this. And most important of all, we have to recognize when we find it. if we just keep on looking up, looking around, and don't see the opportunities that are on our doorstep, sometimes we can just pass them by and not grasp it. So yeah, we have to be aware of our surroundings and aware of all the opportunities that present ourselves. So there is a lot of I almost can call them memes that the internet, that there's a man on the roof, there was a man like drowning or adrift on the sea, and God sends someone to help him. In this case, sent first a boat to help the guy, and he said, "No, I'm waiting for God to help me." And then someone with the chopper comes up and like, "I'm gonna help you." And they said, "No, God will help me," and he'll die there and get to heaven and ask God, "Why didn't you go and save me?" And God said, "Yeah, I sent you a boat, I sent a helicopter, and then where were you? What were you looking for?" So yeah, I have to always be on the lookout to see the opportunities where we can have this connection and grow ourselves.
Can I?
Yes, we can.
I think that exemplify what you said. It's just about it. Sometimes when you talk about religion, like we get so caught up on this kind of supernatural or like miracles or things that should be like, out of this world or an event, and that will make like you like believe or maybe be more connected or whatever to the divine. And as you said, we forgot to see simple things that God doesn't go against his own, laws of nature, that everything that he creates and every single thing that happens in our lives is divine and is like, a miracle, or is an opportunity to grow, to learn, and all of that. And we've, including myself, many times we forgot to, and we take those things for granted, those, as we are discussing about this week, about those people you met out of the blue, and then you think it's out of the blue, and you say, "Oh my gosh!" But no, it's like opportunities that lives and the path that is go like what is it weaving, weaving your way, and we take for granted those. When you encounter someone that helps you and change your lives, when you have an opportunity to work at work, and we take those things for granted, that it's just like, just happened, it's just luck, and we forgot to be grateful or acknowledge that this is divine, is a miracle as well, because it's the way that God and like the spirituality works to help us grow.
Thank you, Ty. Anyone else would like to say anything? Okay. So if there is a will, you will find a way to get there or as close to it as possible. If there is a will to change, you can most certainly change. If you lack the will to change, nobody can show you how. So if you have that, you have to have that that willpower to change, or at least to get that idea to transform into will, to say, yeah, I'm gonna change, I'm gonna do that. This is gonna be a great opportunity, and go for it. It came to mind for me when I was doing this lecture, two movies that we watched, and they were great. The first one is A Million Miles Away. It's a movie about a Mexican trying to be an astronaut. So, and he was like very poor and working on farms and with his dad and the family. And his dream, I would say, was to be an astronaut. And you can see in the movie like all the transformations and all the things that he had to go through to try to get something like that. And the other one is like it's called Flaming Hot. It's another guy, another Mexican guy that starts to work in a factory, and the factory is gonna close, and they need to come up with ideas to renew that. And he tries to find that will that no one else have anymore. Everyone else is accepting the fate that everybody's going to be out of work, and he doesn't want to let this go. So he'll try to find a way to make this happen. So yeah, remember, so it's easier to change ourselves than someone else, but we must be willing to change. Here are two passages from Tao Te Ching. So knowing others is intelligence, knowing yourself is true wisdom. Mastering others is strength, and mastering yourself is true power. He who knows others is wise, he who knows himself is enlightened. So let's try to be enlightened. And that's it for me today. That was a short one. That's a very important topic. Know ourselves. It's one that's very important, but it's very, very hard for us to really go deep into it and sort of judge ourselves, judge our actions, and being partial about it. And anybody have any comments?
I'm good. No?
All right. Thank you all. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna leave presenting. I'm gonna stop presenting, and I'm gonna stop recording. Where are you? Stop.